Control, Alt, Teach, we're bringing the heat. Sammer, T-Pack, name will take a seat. We're talking tech, we're keeping it real. Media lit. Swipe left, swipe right. Fact check the hype. Teach them young so they get it right. Control, Alt, Teach, that's our jam. Let's break it down, let's take a stand. Sammer, T-Pack, Naval in sync. Media lit. Stop, think. Class in session, let's push play. Control, Alt, Teach starts today.
Hi, my name's Clina, and you're listening to Control Alt Teach. This podcast is dedicated to future and current educators looking to better incorporate better critical media literacy in the classroom.
We're coming to you from the McGill Education Library, and my name's Susanna. We're here today to tell you about critical media literacy and explain how it affects everyone in the classroom and beyond.
Hi, I'm Henry. Today we're diving into critical media literacy, what it is, why it matters, and how it shapes the way we teach and learn. Plus, we'll share some great tools to help bring media literacy into the classroom.
So let's dive in. With so much information online, some reliable, some misleading, it's more important than ever to teach students how to analyze and question media. But how do we do that effectively, and how do we choose the right tools for the classroom? That's what we're here to break down.
So let's start with a quick definition. Critical media literacy isn't just about recognizing fake news, it's about understanding how media is created both digitally and physically, what biases are presented in media, who benefits from it, and how it influences our thinking.
Right. Critical media literacy is also about equitably preparing young people for success in a media-saturated environment. As Kellner and Scher describe, without developing adequate literacies, differences between haves and have-nots cannot be overcome, and individuals and groups will be left out of the emerging economy, networked society, and global culture, thereby subject to ever worse conditions of poverty, social and environmental degradation, and multiple forms of oppression, on page 3.
Yeah, and in today's digital world, social media, news, advertisements, and even AI-generated content shape what we see and believe. That's why critical engagement is key.
So how can we bring critical media literacy into the classroom? Let's talk about some real tools teachers can use. One great resource is Checkology. It is an interactive e-learning platform where students watch videos and learn from leading journalists and digital media experts on how to identify misinformation, recognize bias, and analyze news credibility. In a 6th grade classroom, I would get students to watch a few pre-selected videos from the News Literacy Organization. During the viewing, they would independently keep note of some strategies as to how to analyze digital and physical media. At the end of the viewing, students would have the opportunity to discuss in small groups, and as a large class, we would make a list of relevant strategies. Students would then be tasked with analyzing 2 accounts of a battle in history that have 2 different perspectives on things. Using the critical media analysis strategies, they would need to determine which is more accurate and what biases exist in both. This experience not only facilitates their understanding of what it means to critically analyze media, but also gets them to apply what they have learned to a real debunking situation.
And there's NewsGuard, a browser extension that rates the credibility of news websites. Imagine using this in a high school English language arts classroom. Students could compare different news sources covering the same story and discuss how framing affects perception and which source is more reliable, or if one of the sources is completely unreliable.
That's a really great way to engage students, Henry. Personally, I'd use Bazaar. For example, in a grade 10 science classroom, students could deconstruct advertisements, breaking down color choices, word use, and emotional appeal to understand how science media persuades or manipulates audiences. Then they could use Bazaar to create their own examples of disinformation based on what they learned about how disinformation attracts attention. This public-facing product could then be debunked in a video where students explain why their science propaganda would be effective in appearing real and in attracting individuals' attentions.
Now, let's talk about how these tools fit into frameworks such as Sammer, NAML, and T-Pack.
Checkology, in terms of NAML competencies, helps students learn from experts to analyze for facts and evaluate for truthfulness, trustworthiness, and bias pieces of media, fostering the development of their critical media literacy. These experts also encourage students to act to spread awareness of misinformation and disinformation that may exist. This tool falls under the augmentation category of Sammer, as although the teacher could teach about this, they are no means an expert, where the journalists would be. This technology falls under the technological pedagogical content knowledge in T-Pack, as it teaches students how to go about evaluating and accessing content online and propels them to be activists against misinformation and disinformation.
In terms of NAML competencies, NewsGuard helps students evaluate sources for truthfulness, trustworthiness, and bias. It could in theory help them against disinformation and misinformation if they decide to spread awareness of these types of media. On the SAMR model, this tool is considered an augmentative technology, as it allows students to easily and quickly view whether a piece of information is reliable or not, and gives them clues as to what to look for in their critical engagement of text. This technology does not, however, transform our understanding of analyzing dis and misinformation. This technology falls under the technological content knowledge of TPAC, as it doesn't really have anything to do with the practice of teaching, but it does help students develop their technical abilities and critical content knowledge.
And then Bazaar allows students to create media pieces that allow them to apply their critical media literacy skills and act to inform others of the dangers of dis and misinformation. This tool falls under the augmentation category of SAMR, as it allows students to create posters and visual aids using templates that they would not have access to physically, which allows them to improve the quality of their work. This tool falls under the pedagogical knowledge, as it allows students to use what they already know to teach others about the steps required when analyzing a piece of media, especially online.
But we also need to ask, are these tools accessible for all students? Do they help fight for equity and social justice in education?
That's a good question, Susanna. NewsGuard unfortunately costs $5 per month per account after 2 months, and it doesn't support more than 4 languages. It does, however, offer text-to-speech options for students with visual impairments. Other than the barriers mentioned, this technology is quite accessible. However, the educator would have to pitch it to administration, who could then purchase it if they deem it relevant.
Actually, similar to NewsGuard, Bazaar also offers text-to-speech option and has a voice recording feature for students who struggle with written expressions. It also supports many languages and is a freemium service that would work for the majority of creations tasks to be done by students.
Checkology is completely free, and its videos have closed captioning, which is great for students with hearing impairments. The only thing that would need to be considered is that the videos are long, so you might need to watch them with your class in segments or choose a few segments to focus on throughout a critical media unit.
At the end of the day, critical media literacy isn't just about technology. It's about teaching students to think critically, challenge misinformation, and become responsible digital citizens.
And with the right tools and strategies, we can help students engage with media in a way that's fair, accurate, and empowering.
That's all for today's episode. Thank you for turning into Control-Alt-Teach. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, or risk getting all your news from your uncle's Facebook page.
And remember, stay curious, stay critical, and if something sounds too wild to be true, it probably came from a TikTok conspiracy thread.
Seriously, double check before you start believing that birds aren't real.
Or that the earth is flat, and we're all just living on the edge of a giant pancake. Let me know what you think.
All right, before we start a whole new episode on media hoaxes, thanks for listening. See you next time.